Hey, things are funny. So, I'm sitting out here and we got the transformation, Julia Spar. We got response here, Julia Spar, Mary Jane Books. We got this one is called yeah, this is the one that Bob Haas recommended. Spar, The Connection of Everyone with Lungs poems. It's about trauma and 9/11. And I just want to this is what Bob Haas told me to get, so I did it. And then I called climate disobedience.org, and it just so happens that basically I read my Yosemite Camp 4 testimony, and it so happens that today they shut down 4 of the 5 pipes coming from the tar sands from Canada to America. And I told my testimony a little bit, and then Tim DeChristopherson interrupted us. So this is interesting. So Tim DeChristopherson is the guy who did Bitter 70, and it's like he's like the rock star in climate civil disobedience. In other words, like he's the guy that kind of started the whole thing. So this is a good sign. It's like they shut down the pipes today. And I'm going to read this out because it's like my prayer. These are the things. There are these things: cells, the movement of cells and the division of cells, and then the general beating of circulation, and hands and body and feet and skin that surround hands, body, and feet. This is a shape of blood beating and cells dividing. But outside this shape is space. There is space between the hands. There is space between the hands and space around the hands. There is space around the hands and space in the room. There is space in the room that surrounds the shapes of everyone's hands and bodies and feet and cells and the being contained within. There is space, an uneven space made by this pattern of bodies. This space goes in and out of everyone's bodies. Everyone with lungs breathes the space in and out, as everyone with lungs breathes the space between the hands in and out. As everyone with lungs breathes the space between the hands and the space around the hands in and out, as everyone with lung breathes the space between the hands and the space around the hands and the space of the room in and out, as everyone with lungs breathes the space between the hands and the space around the hands and the space of the room and the space of the buildings that surround the room in and out, as everyone with lungs breathes the space between the hands and the space around the hands and the space of the room and the space of the buildings that surround the room and the space of the neighbors nearby in and out, as everyone with lungs breathes the space between the hands and the space around the hands and the space of the room and the space of the building that surrounds the room and the space of the neighborhoods nearby and the space of the cities in and out. Now, let's think about that for a second and get to the heart of the matter regarding my own state where I'm at. We're dealing with the Arab apocalypse here, the oil, taking that in. Let's look at this here. So, a yellow sun, a green sun, a yellow sun, a red sun, a blue sun. Sun, a blue, a red, a blue, yellow sun, a yellow red sun, a blue green sun, a yellow boat, yellow red, yellow blue, yellow red, a morning red, green sun, flower, blue boat, but, yellow sun, green sun, yellow sun, red sun, blue sun, yellow, a sun, craft boat, and red, a quiet blue sun, and a card table, a red, the blue wheel, a yellow sun, green sun, yellow, quiet runner, running, blue sun, a green sun, lunar run, sun, another sun, jealous of yellow, new red, but run, terrified, blue horizon, a sun romantic is yellow, jealous, a blue amorous is a cloud. A feral sun, a timid sun, vain, sorrowful, and bellicose sun, a pharaonic boat, an Egyptian sun, a solar universe, universal sun, a solar arrow across the sky, and I dread the sun is the eye. A turbulent sun haunted by the tubes of the sea. A tubular sun haunted by the tubes of the sea. A sun pernicious and vain, a Hopi, a red Indian sun, an Arab black sun, a sun yellow and blue, a solar Hopi, a solar Indian reddening, a solar Arab darkening, a solar chord, a musical Greek, a resonance, a solar, a sun in an old sky, a sun in the room, as a room in a sun rolling on the sky, a blue sky for the yellow sun, a yellow sky for blue sky, a word tarot, a sun tattooed with sin, solar sin, a Bedouin sunstruck, a sunstruck, the sea drowning the sea, a sun alarmed, alarming, the color yellow, the color alarming sun, moon, and sea, a militant tattoo, a militant sun in a warm universe, a straight sun, a solar craft under the Nile crossing a sun, the sun laughing, a solar umbilical, a lunar polar cloud, a polar woman, a sun, ultra brave, a sun solar nocturnal, fluvial bestial choleric, yellow as yellow, an egg yolk sun confined to an asylum, tearing its skin into lightning, a solar craft under the Nile crossing a sun, the sun laughing, a sunlight, a solar tattoo is an Arab sun in the middle of the Milky Way, a black hole. Let me repeat that because that was actually my thing that I did with the Yosemite Camp 4. A solar tattooed is an Arab eye in the middle of the Milky Way. That's a black hole. A maddeningly yellow, another peaceful green, a blue terror, oh moon, a yellow and quiet sun on a quiet soft horizon next to flowers every day, a sun victory of the yellow, of the green over the yellow in the meadow of tears. So we go here back. I wonder, going back here, right, you say, there's that. And you come here back and you say, let me inhale that air and breathe it back out into the Zen space. As everyone with lungs breathes the space between the hands and the space around the hands and the space of the room and the space of the building that surrounds the room and the space of the neighborhoods nearby and the space of the cities and the space of the regions in and out. Let me ask you a question here. Because of the dramatization of the Mother Earth with the internet cables and all these phones and all these wires in the cloud and everything connected to everyone else, don't we wonder sometimes why we're so driven mad by the whole thing? Isn't it just logical to be overwhelmed by the screens, by the lack of green and flowers, and ultimately the lack of the human face, being able to experience the human body and mind and physical presence of someone in Mother Earth on this grassy field or elsewhere face to face and be able to feel her body and accept. The important thing now is to step forward and say, where between these two worlds, this of the recommendation of a top climate poet right now, Robert Haas. Okay, number one, this poetry book about the connection of everyone with lungs poems, which is very much about kind of meditative, naturalistic space, making space, creating space. How does one deal with the Arab apocalypse and its consequences for the Jewish people? The strong sense of feeling I have is that this, see, big black hole in the universe, it begins, the Arab apocalypse book begins with a connection to the indigenous people of this country. We're talking about the American Indians. This is not a coincidence. Arab, black, sun, Indian sun. It's not a coincidence, my friends, that the energy of my poetry is the same. I literally use the exact same metaphors because that's what you have to do to describe it. To intersect the Arab apocalypse with that of this world, the world of screens, of dissociative mindfulness, to deliver the Arab apocalypse to everyone, the connection of everyone with lungs. You have to feel it somehow in the trace of words and language. And even more importantly, in the delivery to the body and mind and spirit. There has to be a potency in the embodied presence of that energy for this country to wake up, to go out and fight for Mother Earth, to resist these pipelines as a first step to making these changes to more renewable energy. But the interesting thing about all of this is that it's combined together in a pile. That's no separate. These are the same thing. It's hard to think about Mother Earth on both sides at the same time. This is what we have to do as a species. And the civil disobedience going on right now, today at the tar sands, is very interesting. I called climatedisobedience.org, and I'm just telling her my Camp 4 thing, my Yosemite Camp 4 thing I wrote yesterday, my piece. And then Dick Christopherson calls up, just straight up. And I'm offering legal assistance, flat out. That's it. That's what I can do for them. I tell her my story. What did I say? You know? But the sense is that this is a place that's hollowed out. It needs to return to Mother Earth too. And this Bay Area can support this movement. It needs to. But I do wonder sometimes, the intersection of these two worlds is a dangerous one. But it's a gate. I can be a gate. Others can be a gate. But I don't know anyone that has the capacity like me to be such a gate in this such a way, in this unique way. And the interesting thing is that I did call today, and I did reach out to this woman who's involved, talking about shutting down pipelines in taking tar sands oil from Alberta into the United States. They shut down 4 of the 5 pipelines, the protectors of the Mother Earth. These are Caucasian, primarily, I believe white. Tim Christopherson is a white Unitarian Universalist minister, and he is doing a lot of the civil disobedience. He's been doing it for years. Number 1 is the legal defense. Number 1, the case just went to the next level today in this fight, in this civil disobedience fight. Now you have a Harvard educated person talking to the same woman that's talking to a Berkeley PhD. He has a Harvard MDiv. He's a leader with Peaceful Uprising right now. He's the leader in the spiritual leader in the white scene, in Unitarian Universalist circles, around aggressive civil disobedience, Dr. King style civil disobedience against big oil. And now here I am calling them the day that they shut down these pipes coming from Alberta into the United States. That's a different level, okay? And that's an energy, that's a synchronicity that came from the streets here, okay? It came from the streets. It came first and foremost from the Arab streets. The Arab Spring is what delivered me here. That's it. That started in 2009, and its remedy starts today, okay? It's on with regards to creating the energy in this art, merger of poetry and language, and the shift to a transition of a way we can build a movement on a mass scale, one that both delivers the energy of fear and to understand what it's like to be Lakota or Arab or Black or any of that, because I have that capacity. I felt the fight or flight. But then to say there's also space, and one can actually breathe, because space is holy. The void is holy. We are sitting in an infinite bath of space. Void, this divine void, mother void herself. And the irony is that in this book, he's actually talking about black hole sun, okay? Like the void being the divine element. And the interesting thing about it is the start of my first poetry book says, from religion and nothingness, Keiji Nishitani, that the West has to come completely to the black, to the negative trace, to the void, and accept her as holy too. Because the void is a positive thing. It intersects with light, the black hole sun. That metaphor is very powerful. What is a black hole sun? That sits in the center of every galaxy. That's actually the source of every galaxy. In the heart of every galaxy, in the heart of the massive stars in the galaxy, is an enormous black hole. And we don't even know how these things work. And that's really interesting, because it's not the scientists that are going to understand how these things work. It's the poets, the artists. They're the ones that can tap into these energies. They're the ones that dream of concepts that scientists steal to put into their papers when they have to publish something really quickly after a bunch of, data was collected. It's the poets and the artists that give them those models and the metaphors and even the language itself to put that data into the framework in which to put into. And if you want to resolve this horrific event here and couple it to here and slow these people down and bring them out of their phones, okay, you have to slow down the carbon that's being fed into this Skynet. Because I'm being creative here. This is filmmaking. This is just spur of the moment. But Skynet is based on the burning of carbon. This is Skynet, okay? Or the beginnings of one. All of it on phones. I'm reporting from Skynet to the Matrix on a phone. But let's just take that in. All the screens runs on carbon. The moment carbon is shut down, the moment it slows down, we start using these less. And that's what the solar fast is today. It starts today. The solar fast is everything I do with a computer, everything I do with a chip is done with a solar panel. No more using the power from the wall. That's it. That's my first step today. It starts today. But the main thing is I'm writing her an email and just getting back to her. But right now, it's important. So take care.